Alhamdulillahi ghafiri dhanb.
All praise is due to Allah. He forgives sins and accepts repentance. He is severe in punishing those who deserve it. He is the most generous. None deserves worship besides Him. And the final return of all will be to Him alone. All praise is due to Allah, and all goodness lies in His hand. He deserves all praise in the beginning and the end, and all of us will return to Him. I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, without any partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad is Allah's worshipping servant and messenger. He is a role model for all people of taqwaa, those who fulfill Allah's commands and avoid His prohibitions. And He is the leader of all former and latter generations. Allah sent Him with guidance and clear evidences. Allah made Him a mercy to all of creation and an exemplar for them to emulate until the day of reckoning. May Allah grant an abundance of commendation and protection to His messenger, the messenger's immaculate family, his wives who are the mothers of the people of Iman, his esteemed companions, and all who continue to follow their path until the day of recompense. Servants of Allah, we must all observe taqwaa of Allah and maintain reverential fear of Him in all circumstances, whether in public or private, whether pleased or upset, and throughout all our words and deeds. People of Iman, observe taqwaa of Allah, seek nearness to Him by complying with His directives, and sincerely struggle in His path. By doing those things, Allah would grant you success. Servants of Allah, people remain in comfort which they attain by mutual affection and mercy so long as they are not affected by sharp tongues of obscenity or hostile hands that strike painfully. The tongue and hand are two tools which, if put to certain uses, are enough to split or even demolish the blocks that build any collective. The minds and deeds of any collective remain stable in proportion to how little effect those tools have on its structure. This is why our Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, explained the effect that the tongue and hand can have at the individual and collective levels, as well as the relationship which those have with Islam, submission to Allah, and Iman, sound beliefs and righteous deeds. He said, a person who submits to Allah and Islam is one from whose tongue and hand others remain protected, and a person who has Iman is one whom others trust regarding their lives and property. This is collected by Ahmed, and similar can be found in the two Sahih collections. Servants of Allah, with that being said, it should be understood that there is something that certain people do to others by way of their tongues and hands, and it is one of the worst things for which those organs can be used. It is something that emanates from hearts that are permeated with darkness. It is something that results in exploiting others and using their weakness as leverage to achieve contemptible objectives. Servants of Allah, the thing we are referring to is blackmailing others. Blackmail is a weapon that is only wielded by those who are cowardly and weak. They use it to attack the possessions and morals of their victims. It is a weapon of deception, not defense, and it has never been considered to be a weapon of the brave, strong, or dignified. Servants of Allah, blackmail is an act of aggression that is driven by excessive selfishness and is carried out to achieve unlawful personal objectives. It is used against the type of person who lacks the determination to stand up to threats, and it is carried out by exposing things that coerce the person to hand over whatever is sought from him. Thus, he is forced to surrender in order to avoid the public exposure of matters that are confidential and which he does not want to be known. That is what is done by vile and corrupt perpetrators who know how to attack their prey. Without any doubt, it is a form of being overpowered, which our Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, sought Allah's protection from when he would say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajzi wal-kasal wal-jubni wal-bukhl wal-dala'i ad-dain wa-ghalabati ar-rijal. O Allah, I seek refuge with you from anxiety, grief, helplessness, laziness, cowardice, stinginess, being overcome by debt, and being overpowered by men. This is collected by Bukhari. Blackmail is a foul action carried out by corrupt individuals. It is an indicator of depraved souls and corrupt predatory hearts that unleash criminal talents upon those who are weak. It is prompted by malice, vengefulness, and the desire to exploit, and it undoubtedly gives a false sense of power to the perpetrators. Blackmail does not have a certain thought or religion that promotes it, and it does not honor any sort of agreements or give consideration to the weak. Servants of Allah, the arena of blackmail is one entered by a wide array of people, all of whom share the traits of depravity, cruelty, aggression, selfishness, and willingness to use others for attaining personal gains. It is not only used by enemies or disputants. Rather, it may even be used by an individual against his own spouse, brother, or friend. When a soul becomes corrupt, there are no reins that can hold it back, and it looks at both friend and foe the same way. The only ones exempted from that reality are those whom Allah is merciful to by making them among the people who listened with comprehension to the following statement of the Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, and then follow suit. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with both of them, narrated that Allah's Messenger, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, once ascended the minbar and said in a raised voice, I say to those who profess Islam with their mouths while Iman has not reached their hearts, you must not harm the people of Islam, disparage them for sins that have passed, or go after their errors. If a person goes after the errors of his respectable Muslim brother, Allah will go after that person's errors. If Allah does that to anyone, He will expose that person even if he remains in the innermost confines of his own home. This is collected by Tirmidhi and others. Servants of Allah, in our time, most blackmail is aimed at compromising people's character and integrity. That is what is hunted and where people are claimed as victims. Especially in this age of many new communication methods which are utilized to hunt, provoke, and deceive, and throughout which vicious wolves and cunning thieves prowl, looking for their prey. Servants of Allah, a person's integrity is certainly one of 5 indispensable necessities which all people strive to safeguard. Thus, those who blackmail others violate its safety and seek to undermine the security of a collective at which they take aim. Anyone who blackmails is a rogue thief and assailant. Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy upon him, describes such people by saying that disobedient inclinations comprise the lead they follow. Ignorance drives them forward, and heedlessness is their vehicle. They're constantly engrossed with thinking about how to achieve their worldly interests, intoxicated by desires and love for the immediate, and directed by the lead of every outcast shaitan. Servants of Allah, blackmailers are people focused on their own selfish motives, regardless of the harms that may cause their victims. A blackmailer knows that he lacks the dignity to achieve his aims in lawful ways. And this is why he turns into a vicious wolf on the prowl, bearing his selfish fangs and claws. He is a person who lacks basic human values. He is in fact a shaitan in human form. Servants of Allah, blackmail is a form of aggression that leads to further crimes. It may begin with extortion of money and end with physical harm. It is like salt water in the sense that the more one drinks, the thirstier he becomes. A blackmailer does not suffice with just one act. A victim may surrender thinking that giving in once will end the blackmail. However, he will subsequently find himself targeted from more than one direction. Thus, the blackmailer grows in his craving, and he does not put a cap on the extent which his craving can reach. He immerses himself in his crime and does as much damage as he can to his victim. The most frequent recorded cases are those in which young men blackmail young women. The young men do things led by their youthful vigor, and the young women do things led by their emotions. However, the emotions are no match for the vigor, and the victim ends up unable to break free from the fetters of the blackmailer after having been involved in emotional promises and sinful deception. Although a young man may be doing something very wrong and hold a greater share of the blame, that does not absolve a young woman of fault for placing her trust and feelings with someone whose character, religious practice, and trustworthiness she knows nothing about. She gives in despite his shadiness and ends up increasing his disease. Thus, it is no wonder that she ends up with her hands tied and her mouth stifled. When a person does not secure his home's door, he leaves it exposed to burglars. Blackmailers are motivated by their belittlement of their victims. If that was not the case, they would not find what they seek with the victims. When a person has bad rooted within him, he belittles and scorns others, giving no mind to their dignity. When a person has bad rooted within him, he belittles and scorns others, giving no mind to their dignity. It is enough of an evil for someone to scorn his Muslim brother. All of a Muslim is inviolable to another Muslim, his life, property, and dignity. This was collected by Muslim. All forms of blackmail are blameworthy, and all of them cause harm to others. Allah has warned us against harming the people of Iman and threatened us with punishment for doing so. May Allah bless us all by the Quran and Sunnah and allow us to glean benefit from the evidences, admonition, and wisdom they contain. I say this much, and I implore Allah to forgive me, you, and all Muslim men and women for every sin and misdeed. Thus seek forgiveness from Allah and repent to Him, as my Lord is certainly the most forgiving, the bestower of mercy. All praise and gratitude are due to Allah for His favors and guidance. And may Allah grant commendation and protection to His Prophet who called people to do what pleases Allah. The best speech is the Book of Allah, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad. May Allah grant commendation and protection. The worst of things are those which are invented and then claimed to be part of Islam. Every such invention is considered bid'ah, and every bid'ah is misguidance. You must also remain with the jama'ah, the collective of Muslims who adheres to what is correct, because the hand of Allah is over the jama'ah. If anyone breaks away from it, doing so will take him to the hellfire. May Allah grant all of you His mercy. You should realize that there are many who have addressed the issue of blackmail. Some have been brief and others prolonged. Some have called it a problem and others a phenomenon. Whatever the case, it undoubtedly remains a moral crime and a shortcoming which those in positions of responsibility in Muslim communities must give careful consideration. In addition, it is necessary for them to realize that treatment will not be effective unless the disease is pinpointed and its causes are diagnosed precisely. Not only that, we must all recognize that confronting blackmail is a responsibility shared by the entire community. It is not limited to any specific individual or group. Families have a role to play. There are also roles to be played by the educated and even by security personnel. The treatment for blackmail has elements related to security, morality, and education. Each element complements the others, and none of them is sufficient on its own. The security element treats the disease after its occurrence, while the moral and educational elements are preventative and they treat the disease before its occurrence. If the opportunity to prevent is missed, nothing less than removal is required. Nonetheless, in all cases, prevention of a disease is better than having to treat it after its occurrence. May Allah have mercy upon all of you. In conclusion, invoke Allah to grant His commendation and protection to His messenger. Allah instructed us to do so. He mentioned Himself first, then mentioned His angels who proclaim His perfection, and then addressed you, the people of Iman, where He said, people of Iman, invoke Allah to grant the Prophet commendation and to grant him protection as well. O Allah, be pleased with your messengers, four successors, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, as well as all of his companions, and all who follow their path until the day of reckoning. O Allah, grant strength to Islam and the Muslims, and weaken shirk and those engaged in it. O Allah, grant victory to your religion, your book, the sunnah of your messenger, and your believing, worshipping servants who strive in your path. O Allah, rectify the conditions of Muslims in all places. O Allah, grant us safety and security in our nations. Make our authorities people who are righteous, and make them people who observe taqwaa of you. O Allah, guide our leader to the words and deeds which you love and are pleased with. O Allah, owner of all majesty and kindness, guide his aides and advisors. O Allah, guide his deputy and grant them your direction, and make them people who are righteous. O Allah, none has the right to be worshipped except you. You need none, but we are in dire need of you. We implore you to send the rains for us, and not make us among those who lose hope. O Allah, we implore you to grant us the goodness that lies with you, and not deprive us of it because of the bad that comes from us. Servants of Allah, be grateful to Allah. When you do so, He will grant you more. The dhikr of Allah is greater than all else, and Allah has complete knowledge of everything that you do.